All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. So, as promised, we have another painting for you guys today. So, this is what we'll be doing. You're just going to need pretty much your primary colors. If you have the extra colors, that's always a plus. But for today's class, as long as you have red, yellow, blue, your white, and your black, you're in good shape. Today, we're only going to be using two brushes. So I have a big brush to do the base work and our smaller brush to do all our little details. So make sure you have two brushes handy. Your water cup you're gonna need. You'll need a paint palette or a plate if you don't have a palette. Or you can also use saran wrap over something as well. What else do we have here? Your canvas, again, you feel free to use any canvas size that you have on hand, whether it's a 16 by 20 like I'm using here. You can use 8 by 10. You have the smaller ones as well. Pretty much any size you want at this point. And you adjust it according based onto the size that you have. All right, so we're gonna use our big brush first. I always like to start with some of the lighter colors and then work into the darker colors just because it works better out for cleaning your brush. So we're gonna start actually with a lot of white. So we're gonna go pretty much down to the middle of our canvas and drop a little lower than your center. We're gonna start filling that whole bottom section of our canvas in with the white. This is for our water. I always like to use the white, give it a nice little base coat here. And it helps kind of when you start adding in some of your other colors there later on. So we are going to add in some blue. But the blue, we want to keep it kind of like we got some Caribbean water going on here. So we want to keep our water pretty light. So that's why we're going to do our white first. So a little less than halfway. Just below the halfway mark. This is going to be for our ocean. So again, once you have that whole bottom filled in, you're going to add white. And this time we're going to go into some blue. But you're just going to add the blue right to the tip of your brush. With that blue that you just added to your brush, you're going to go long ways. So don't hold the brush this way. We're going to go this way and drag this straight across where the top of the water's sitting. So right where we have the top of the water, we're going to bring that across. And then we're going to go back and add in more blue, but we want to do it in little increments at a time so that this way we don't flood it with too much blue at once. So we're just going to drag along the horizon line, and then you can kind of start to spread it a little down. But again, we want it to be very faded out towards the bottom. So you don't want too much blue on your brush. So once you have it there, you could go ahead and wash out whatever paint is on your brush. Dry it on your napkin always. Remember, anytime you wash your brush, you always got to dry it off on a napkin. You don't want too much water. If you have too much water on your brush, it ends up dripping and then you get a really nasty watermark that you can't get rid of. All right, so once you have that base of blue, we're going to go back in with white. So I want to go ahead and grab more white on my brush. I'm going to go into this blue here, but I want to try to grab some of that blue and start pulling it down. But like I said, we want the water nice and light, so we want mostly white. But if you go into that top part of your blue, it'll start to pull it down. You'll get it on your brush and you'll be able to drag it through the rest of your water. So you want it to kind of fade out as it works towards the bottom of your canvas. And remember, if you need more paint, just go ahead and grab it as you need. Grab it as you need. So I'm going to go ahead and add some more white. And if you need to, you can add just a tiny bit of blue to the brush. So I just dipped the corner of my brush in the blue. And that'll help bring it down to the bottom of your canvas. So again, we wanted all that white there because we want it mostly to be white towards the bottom and kind of fade out. So once you're happy with how your water's looking, if you want to go back and just add some darker blue right along this top edge, you can. if you want to darken it up. If you like how it's looking, you can leave it as it is. No need to go that way. But I'm going to add just a little more to darken that top part up for me. Now the trick is not to keep painting over the same spots too much, because what it does is, instead of giving you that streakiness, it pulls all your colors together and it turns it into one solid color, as if you were mixing it on your plate. If you want that kind of streakiness, you gotta just brush it a few times, leave that section alone, and move on to the next part of it. And then whoever missed one of my other classes, if you want to just kind of blend everything together, a good way is get a nice clean brush, just wash the paint from it, have some water, and all just with a clean wet brush, you can go back over some spots and it'll blend your colors together a little nicer. So that's only if you feel like it's kind of a little choppy, or you can see where the brush marks are coming in from. That's another nice way to kind of smooth it all out. So far, you should have something along the lines of this. Make sure once you're done with your water, go ahead and wash out your brush. Wash that out. Now, if you have purple, feel free to use purple. If you don't have purple, you can mix a little bit of purple on your plate with the red and the blue together. So if you want to go ahead and grab, I can take a little bit of blue, add it to the middle, a little bit of my red, add it to the middle, mix it together to create a purple. A nice purple. And everybody's purple will be a little different. Nothing wrong with that. So I got a little bit of a purple. Now with that purple, I'm going to go just above the horizon line. So a little bit of purple right above my horizon line here of the water. That's it. Once I have that, I'm washing out my brush. Again, wash it. Make sure you always wipe it out on your napkin so it's not too wet. That's all we wanted for the purple. Now we're going to go in with white and red. So we're going to kind of make it a little bit of a pink. Now where we stopped on our purple, you're going to go slightly on your purple to drag in, as we want to blend these colors in together. So just go above your purple and you can start adding in. Now we're going to start working our way up the canvas. So you can go into the purple completely once you have it mixed up there. So this way we have a nice fade out of our sky here. So again, white and red. I'm going to make a little bit of a pink up there. If you have pink, you can use pink instead. So we're just going to bring this up. Not too high, because we're going to add in the other colors, but you know, about 4 fingers width apart is good. So we're creating almost like an ombre. Once you have a nice little section of that purple and pink working in together, go ahead and wash your brush out. So remember, always wipe it on your napkin. This next part, we're going to go into the red and a little bit of orange there. So mostly orange, just a little bit of the red, just because we're going to go into our next area. So this part is important. You want to make sure you're brushing slightly over that pink. So this way you get a nice gradual blend. And then I'll show you a little trick in a minute that we can do to really blend everything together really nicely. So after you get that little section with the orange and red, you're going to go and continue adding just the orange, no more red, as you're working further up towards the top. So you can kind of keep each section about the same size. Doesn't have to be exactly the same size. Give yourself a general sizing. So for this next part, you could bring the orange a little bit up into that yellow area, just how I lightly brushed it in, because we want to bring some of that yellow up too, and we want it to mix in with that orange. So once you have your orange, wash out your brush, wipe it off on your napkin, and then go into your yellow paint. So yellow is going to go ahead and finish filling up the rest of that top half of your canvas. So that rest of the top half gets painted in. And then brush it again. Always go into the last color. So now you can drag it down into your orange completely. So if you want to throw a little more yellow on your brush and go right into your orange, go for it. That'll start pulling those colors together and giving you a nice blend. So once you have all your colors on the canvas, you're going to wash your brush out again. Really make sure you get all the paint out. So I kind of like to press it into the bottom of my cup, swish it around, almost like I'm painting the inside of the cup back and forth. Get all that water off. Now, just with the little bit of water that's left on, like if I go like this, you shouldn't get any dripping happening. Should just be a little wet. So with the wet brush, I'm going to go over all the lines where all my colors meet together, just so I can really pull them in together. But as you go into each different color, if you don't want to mix too much of that last color in, just be careful that you wash out your brush. So with just a clean brush, a little bit of water on it, hit over the lines where everything meets. It helps to kind of really pull everything together. And you get a nice blending. So far so good. Hopefully everybody's still intact here. We got our background for the most part. So before we are able to add in the sun that is setting, we're going to go ahead and throw in some of the black. I'm going to let that little section dry before we start adding that in. So while you're waiting, if you have something you can use, whether it's maybe a small cup, a cap to something, I would recommend maybe grabbing that. Would be really good, so you can use it as a stencil, so you can get a nice size circle and have it be, you know, intact there, looking like a circle and not like, I don't know, half a moon or something else. But we're going to give our background a second to dry. Now, depending on how much paint you each used, it may take a little bit longer, or it may actually dry pretty quickly. If you're using acrylic paint dries very fast, so you should be okay. But as right now, just let this section dry. If you're not super soaked down at the bottom, you can kind of just tap your canvas to tell if it's really wet or not. Sometimes if you just move it on an angle, if it's super shiny, that means the paint is really wet. If you don't see any glare, then you're usually in good shape. It's dry. You can move on to the next section. So I'm going to go down to the bottom now. Same big brush. You don't have to switch any brushes yet. So same big brush. Make sure it's nice and clean. Wipe it on your napkin. And with the black paint now, here we go. So with the black paint, I'm going to go ahead and get that on there. I'm going to go down to the bottoms. So these bottom corners, they should be nice and dry already. So I'm going to go down there, and you're going to give yourself like a little wave. This is our little slab of land. So you can pull it out as far as you want. If you want to drag it across the entire bottom, you're more than welcome to. I also have another little area over here. We're going to add some land. So once you have your little sections, you can go ahead and actually fill those in. So fill in that little section that you just added for the black. There we go. And then if you see on here, we also have a little slab of land right on horizon line, both sides. So if you want to use your big brush, you can. If you feel like you need to switch to your smaller one, now would be the time. And then same thing. If this is nice and dry, mine is pretty dry already, so I'm going to go ahead and add it in. If you need to wait because yours is still wet, then just give it another minute. Don't rush. You can always pause the video and come back. So right now I'm going to add my little slab of land here. Fill that in. And then same thing, I'm going to do that a little bit on this side. And you're going to fill it in. Alright, so now you got your two little pieces of land on there. So I'll do a quick little tutorial on how to do the palm trees. And this can be done a few different ways. I'll actually just use the back of this one. Alright. Let's get up close here. Alright guys, so for you, this brush works alright. You can do it, I'll show you one way with your small brush. So here's your tree trunk. First thing you want to do is create at least 4 to 5 little arches coming out of this center. So if you need to give yourself a dot to know that that's where you have to come out from, then do that. And you can take a piece of paper and try this on the paper if you want with your paintbrush. So you're going to give yourself 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll make one go up. So this is the first part of doing it. Now with this brush, you're going to go to the line and start pulling down and away. Down and away. Now you start to see your leaves in your tree come together. Now this one, because it's in the middle and it's up, you can kind of go out both ways. So same thing, you're gonna just pull away from the line. All right, so you start to catch the drift with this one. Not too bad. And then you can always go back over that line and just cover over. But there's one way to do it. Now, if you wanted to use your other brush, you can use your big brush. Now, this sometimes works out really well when you have a nice, sloppy, old, used, crazy brush. So this one is going to be a perfect brush to do this. So same thing, I'll do a practice over here. Here's your tree trunk. Now keep in mind your bottom of your tree trunk should always be out a little bit. So same thing, I'll use the little brush to give me those 5 little lines first. Okay, and then I go back to this one. Now remember, like I said, this one's nice and spread out and open. So this one's a matter of just pulling it down from your line. So nice and easy. Because your bristles are already open, it gives you that hairy look that you get just by looking at your palms. So sometimes the sloppier your brush, the better. So you get 2 different, this one looks like it's nice and full and from a storm, and this one looks like it's just hanging out there. So you can do this either way. Either way. All right, so that should have given you guys a decent amount of time to dry up now. So I actually need to add, I just used all my black. So I'm gonna add some more black. So you should have all 4 little islands on your canvas right now. And I'm gonna go ahead now and actually add them on there. Now, I also have, I don't know if you can really see them, but teeny little tiny palm trees in the back that you will need to do with your small brush. So if you have an even smaller brush, because you can't do it with this one, I would grab it. So, all right. Now I'm gonna go ahead and we're first gonna pick where we're gonna place. So wherever you wanna put them, you can. Sometimes they're arched, but keep in mind, palm trees are not straight all the time. They're lumpy, they're wiggly, they go with the weather. So, all right, this one I'll have come this way. Now remember also, the bottoms of your trees, you always want to thicken that out a little bit, because if you look at a tree outside your window, the base of it is always wider than the top of it. So to make it look realistic, you want to try to keep it nice and wide on the bottom. All right. And then I'll add my other tree, a little bit shorter. Bring it up to about here. And same thing. Make them really tall, make them really small, however you want. So that one's got a nice chunky base. And I'm going to plant out the line for my other one. This one I want a nice big one. Let's have it come out sideways this way. So this is where you can get a little creative. If you want more palm trees, add more. If you want less, then do less. It's your painting, you're practicing at home, trying this out. So I encourage you to try and get a little more creative and step outside your comfort zone. And then I'll add a few like little tiny ones down here. All right, so now you've planted out where you're gonna place all your trees. So now it's up to you which way you wanna do your palms. If you wanna do it with your small brush, like I showed you on the back, you could do it with that. If you wanna try it with your other one, go for it. If you wanna test and see which brush is gonna do a better job for you, grab a piece of paper and try it on there. Like I said, the sloppier the brush, sometimes the easier it is. And if you need to, always give yourself a little circle at the tip of each tree so that you know to pull your arches out from each of those sections. So stick right from that middle point. I'm gonna do one. And say some trees you only need 4 of these, then do 4. But 5 usually gets the job done right. Anything, palm trees are super fun and easy to make. Easier than the regular trees. If anybody took the other class we did last week, then you caught that the trees themselves are a little tough. Those take a little practice. Like I said, if you push nice and soft, you can get a decent small line. But if you're pressing hard, your lines are going to come out a lot thicker. So sometimes it's a matter of pressure on your hand. If you need to use your finger to kind of steady it or keep you from pressing too hard, go ahead and do that. So that's the base of it. Now you're going to use whichever brush you feel comfortable using, whether it's your small one or your fluffy big one. I'm going to use my big one. Spread it out a little bit, open it up. And pull right off of my lines. There we go. We got one down. So don't worry if they kind of look a little crazy on the sides, because you can always go back with your brush and kind of clean up the lines that go on here. So don't worry about that. Those are easy to fix. And sometimes that, even if you leave it, like I said on the other one I showed you, this one you can kind of pull it out both sides, so it's a matter of preference. This one I did both sides coming out, so totally up to you. You can really get the job done with any brush. It's just a matter of what you like. So I did that one with the big brush. I'll do the other one with the small brush. This one you can have a little more control than your chunkier brush. But not too bad, right? I'm like, oh, that's how you do the palm trees. That's not bad at all. Not bad at all. So hopefully you guys are all right following along there. And that's why I said it's a matter of, if you want a whole bunch of palm trees, add them, keep going. Maybe you're having fun making them, so throw them everywhere. Maybe you're not crazy about them, so you're only going to do one or two. That is fine. This is yours. You're doing it. You're keeping it or not keeping it, or giving it as a gift, whatever you're doing. Entertaining yourself so you don't lose your mind sitting at home in quarantine. Maybe the kids are driving you crazy, so this is a nice way to calm them down for a minute. Get them to sit down, and they're creating, expressing themselves. It's very important to continue to do art when you can. It's such a great outlet for so many people. And you'd be surprised how relaxing it is, and maybe you find you're actually really good at it. And you found a new little hobby. But it's worth trying at least. So nice and easy, making your little palms. I lost my little black one over here a little bit, so we'll bring it up. I should have brought it up a little higher so it wasn't sitting right in there. That's all right. There's no such thing as anything wrong in art, no right or wrong way to do anything. It's a matter of expression. Make this one look like it's in a nice little windy area. Not bad. This one too will add. Make it go the other way. And then I got my little tiny ones down here I'll do real quick. And then we can start our moon. That gives that ample enough time to dry. Should be nice and dry in the center of your canvas now. Little ones all the way out on that little island in the back. Alright, so now you got your palm trees in there, guys. Sweet! Alright, so now, like I said before, if you had a cap or something circular, small, that you can use to do your moon, you can use that to trace around with a smaller, if you have chalk works. I'm just going to add mine in now. And I said a small cap because you do want, we have to add the reflection of our sun in the water here. So you do want to see it come down in the bottom there. So whichever brush you want to use at this point, you can use, I would recommend maybe the smaller one for this part. Go ahead and grab your smaller brush. You're going to add white first and then get a bunch of yellow in there. Yellow is very, very transparent. So the white gives it a nice base so it's not so light. So you're going to go ahead and fill in pretty much the left side of your sunset there. The left side. Because that right side, we're going to add in orange. So you got white and yellow in there. And then I'm going to wash out. And we got to go into the orange. Orange paint. Filling that in, pulling it into your yellow a little bit there. Now if you want, you can go ahead and start adding in that orange reflection down on the bottom. And then the yellow. But now since this is supposed to be a reflection, we really don't want it to be so bright. You could go ahead and add just a little bit of white and blue to your brush to go back over that space so that it kind of tones it back down. We don't want it too bright. And then if you want, you could go ahead, and this one I added some little birds in the backgrounds. Those are fairly easy to do. If you want to add some birds, if you're liking how it looks as is, leave it alone. So if you want to do little birds, I'll do that real quick so you can see. I'll bring it closer. And they're like little V's. Check marks almost. There you go. Once you're done, you just got to sign your name and your little masterpiece is complete. Here we go. And you created your little sunset beach scene. Woo! So if you'd painted and you want to share, I would love to see it. Share it to me. But there you go. You guys did it. So thanks for tuning in for your second, first, maybe the third class. I will be doing another one same time on Friday. And then I'm also doing adult classes for the night that you can follow along at home. So if you can, run to the Michael's or your local art place, grab some canvas, some paint, and I'll be throwing these out every week. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I look forward to painting with you guys again on Friday. Bye now. I don't know how to stop this. Ooh, there we go.